welcome back. This is Erin at Erin Twibbles Around Aimlessly, and thank you to everyone here, new and been here a while, for joining us on our debt-free journey. So today is going over our April budget, and a little bit late getting the April budget put together and closing out March because we had some events kind of happen towards the end of the month that do have a significant impact on our budgeting and on some of our plans. Let's go ahead and let's just jump right into it. So if you are new here, I follow the Budget Mom, and I usually use the Budget Mom worksheet, but I like having a digital version as well. And so I work out of Excel, then I usually transfer and write it down into my printable worksheets, and then I put that into my planner. So I have followed pretty much the entire format of the Budget Mom. I've just made a few changes in terms of having some additional rows or taking some out in other areas. So this is our general layout where we include our income, what our fixed bills are, anything going to our envelopes, and we use a combination of both cash and digital envelope, our sinking funds, all of which our sinking funds are all digital at this point, anything that we have going into extra savings, and then anything that we have going towards extra debt. Even though we are Dave Ramsey-ish inspired, we're not full-on gazelle mode in that we are only focusing on debt. We like to strike a balance between savings, fun, and paying off our debt. That's just our preferred approach. We did do the gazelle intensity the first time around, and personally, we would never go that approach again. Your mileage may vary. You do you. That's a nice thing with personal finance. I always start with a blank sheet. I start off with what the budget is going to be throughout as I go week by week. I fill in the actual numbers, calculate differences, and then when I do my closeout, which I don't always share, in fact, I don't think I've ever shared it, I just do a quick calculation comparing percentages. So let's jump into what we are doing for April. So here we have our entire everything that is planned out. And I already have the numbers in there just because it makes it a bit easier, but there is one thing that I am going to add in at the end. So starting with our budget, and this includes mine and my husband Gary's salaries. So what we get paid after taxes and after deductions for our superannuation. So for me, April is going to be, for both of us, April is a 4-week, just by the way that we budget and calculate our weeks. We are paid either weekly or fortnightly. All of our bills are usually due weekly. That's just the way that a lot of the billing goes here in Australia, and also what we've opted for on quite a few. So it's easiest for us to budget that way instead of going a full month to month from the first of the month to the end or anything like that, because we're very consistent. Our paychecks are stable. We know exactly how much they are going to be. So for myself, $6,440, and for my husband, $4,440. Slight decrease in what our child is providing to us because we did get his vehicle transferred, his registration over to his name, and he is now, fingers crossed, actually doing as he says and putting aside the money for his rego. But he's an adult, so that's on him. He will still be on our insurance policy through the end of April. So he'll continue to pay for that, and then that will drop out. So this will be the last month that we have money coming from him, unless he starts throwing us money for something. We do have one extra amount, and that is going to be coming out of the envelopes and the sinking funds for $214. That's going to come from hospital because of an expense that we have. And we'll look at that in a minute. So our total is going to be $11,119. That is what we are expecting, and that is what we are budgeting off of. When we get to our fixed bills, one of the first things you will notice is that there is not anything budgeted for the credit card. And that is because before that payment comes due, we will have the credit card paid off. So friggin' stoked and happy about that. We had planned to have it paid off in June. It is going to be paid off by the second week of April. Big tick mark off, massive goal achieved. We are so happy for that. I'm really looking forward to that final transfer. $1,096 going to our personal loan and $1,480 to our mortgage. Our health insurance, so we have private health on top of our public Medicare scheme. because we do use the private system. So $320 there. Home insurance, $235. Vehicle insurance, right now I am keeping the same at $220. This is going to change. My pool membership, because that is my form of exercise, is $80. My mobile phone, my husband's is provided through work, so $50. Internet and cable, $115. A new one is going to be electricity. So our electricity company has switched to doing monthly bills instead of quarterly, and we haven't decided if we're going to switch back to quarterly or not. So we're going to try out monthly for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, see how that works. We had been putting aside probably, around $120, well, around $60 a fortnight. So for this month, it would be $120. Our electricity bill will come much lower than that. I do have a small expense to one of the hospitals from a procedure that I had back in January. And so, as I mentioned, I go private. So there is some additional pay on top of what is covered by the Medicare scheme. That's going to be for $214. And then there's some question marks here because we've got one other purchase that we are going to make, and I will cover that towards the end of this video. Moving to our cash and digital envelopes, not too many changes here. We are going to do a quarterly evaluation. We just haven't had a chance because half of this month I've been in hospital and I've only been home for a couple of days at a time. So we haven't had a chance to sit down and talk about it. We're planning on doing some of that over this long weekend. So groceries, $120, $200 for household, $100 for spend. Staying at $600 for fuel, we're going to come in probably under that, but we need to give it another month just to see how things are going. Transport staying the same at about $300. Again, this may change after an evaluation after the month. Our pups, our dogs, $300, $250 for health, like health and beauty, and then $200 for bulk buy. So we put $50 a week aside to go into bulk purchases, be that at Costco or if I order stuff in bulk off of Amazon, or if we get another cow or a lamb or anything like that. So we are looking at, for cash and digital envelopes, $3,150, leaving us $4,039, which our next category is our sinking funds. And so we put $25 every fortnight to our emergency fund. Registrations has come down again because our son is taking over his, and so that's dropping. So we had been doing $450, that's dropping down to $400. So $200 a fortnight, $125 a fortnight for utilities, and that is rates and water. $300 for maintenance, and this is for house maintenance, vehicle maintenance. I have separate sub funds. Christmas and birthdays and holidays, not funding those quite yet. Subscriptions, did pick up an additional program that has a yearly subscription for that, so just bumping that up to $75. $100 a fortnight to hospital. This is to cover those extra expenses or overages, such as what I have for St. Vinny's. And then insurance excess, we learned this after the accident with the motorcycle, that we really should have some money to cover at least the excess on 2 vehicles. So if we have 2 vehicles go out at the same time, and so we're kind of targeting that one a little bit. So between all of our sinking funds, $1,475. And this is a slight drop from what we had going to our sinking funds before. So that actually frees up a little bit more money that we can do either to savings or going to our extra debt. Speaking of savings, so we have $2,564 left to tinker with. For savings, not too much, so neither of the Budget Mom savings challenges really apply to me for this month, so I'm just doing a basic $20 every week. That is going to go into our spare fund account, so if you watch my Transfer Tuesdays, you see that, and then an additional $25 to subscriptions just to get it caught up for this new program that I have and that I'm using. So $105 extra at this point going to savings, leaving us $2,459 left over to go towards our extra debt. And the reason that this amount is a little bit higher is because we have rolled over that $275 credit card payment that we had that has now been snowballed in. And then starting next month, we'll have the full amount. So moving to our extra debt payments, I checked the balance of our credit card this morning, and that is currently at $1,667 and no cents. So that should be the payoff amount before any additional interest or anything is accrued, or it might be a few additional dollars. We had been targeting 2,100, and the total we had been putting towards the credit card each month minimum was actually 2,375. So that first amount deducted gives us $708 to go to our loan. And then we will have an additional $84 to go to the loan as well. And that pretty much comes from what is no longer being spent up in the sinking funds. Extra debt total right now is going to be $2,459. Nothing left over, zero, goose egg, zip, zilch, nada. So that is our zero-based budget. Where I want to go back to is back into our income and what these question marks down here are. So if you have been following, you would be aware that my husband has a beloved motorcycle. It is his Harley Davidson. It was a limited edition, a discontinued model called the Mistress. And about a month and a half ago was in a slight akadinky, got it in, got the repairs, and we actually picked it up a week ago on Thursday. And, everything fixed on it, all good to go. Fantastic. She looks beautiful. She's running again. Husband, happy camper. And then on Friday, he gives me a call and he goes, I don't think that the bike is going to be able to be fixed this time. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a write-off. And I went, you are kidding me. Did you get in another accident? He goes, no, didn't get in an accident. I'm like, okay, so everything is all right. Everything was not all right. So he was riding home and noticed that it was feeling a bit warm. He's like, oh, wow, the exhaust is a little bit warm. She's running hot. He was about 10 kilometers from the house. It's like, I can, get her home. We'll take a look at her, what's going. And he gets a couple more kilometers. He's like, she's really warm. She's running really hot. And then he looks down at his leg and he is on fire because the exhaust in the engine caught fire as he was riding it. So to the side of the road, drops the bike, happened to have a emergency response team right behind him in traffic, gets their fire extinguisher, puts out the fire, had tried with his jacket, and this is what the Mistress looked like. Burnt to a crisp. Now they were able to get the fire out before it got to the fuel tank, so there was no explosion, anything like that. Thank goodness. He, for the most part, came out no worse for the wear. Some scratches, some bumps, some bruises, missing some leg hair, and some very light superficial type burns literally to his butt. But the bike is a total write-off. It cannot be fixed. So we will be receiving a check for the payout of around $24,000 for his bike. And because this particular model, so it was a Harley Davidson Night Rod 1480cc. They have been discontinued. They were discontinued in, I think, 2017 or 2019. They no longer make them. Dealerships do not sell them. Private sellers are, for the most part, starting in the high 30s, low 40,000s and up. So yeah, that one is off the books. And we have talked about a few different scenarios of what we can do. So obviously, this is what is going to be used to pay off the credit card immediately, full stop. Now, we owe just over $27,000 on our loan. So it would be enough to almost take that loan out completely, and then we would have maybe about 1 month of payments. And we discussed this. However, my husband loved this bike. He loves having a bike. We've both been riding. First time I was on a bike, I was probably 3 years old. He's always had them and has had one for transportation ever since he was 16, 17 years old. In fact, when we moved to Australia, one of the few things that we actually shipped over was his Harley, and he upgraded from that one. So he will be getting another bike, and that is what this question mark down here is for. At this time, we don't know though what type. It will be a smaller. It will still be a Harley. That's because we're a Harley family. That's what we ride. And he will probably get something smaller that can be then passed to me, because we had been talking about getting me a bike because I hadn't gotten, where we came from, he didn't need a license. And so he got his license. It was optional. I did not get mine, but in Australia, you're required to have a license. Otherwise, you have to go on your learners, your provisional, and you are restricted on how large of a bike you can have. So since it's only probably going to be for about maybe 6 to 8 months, he will look for something that is learner approved. It'll be smaller, much, much smaller. Max it can be is actually 500 cc, so he's losing about 1000 cc on on it, but that's probably going to come out to around we're going to say $12,000. So that will cover bike. He needs new riding gear, different helmet because can't use the helmet for a big bike on a small bike. You just look like a goober. And then the remaining 12,000 will most likely go to the loan. Now, because we are going to have a snowball payment of $3,450 to the loan, that means that we should have that paid off then, probably by the latest being August. So for now, I am going to put that bike money into extra savings. We still have a zero-based budget, and then once we figure that out, so we'll get the check. It's already been transferred, but because of the holiday weekend, businesses are not open banks are not open on Friday or Monday, so that will be in the bank on Tuesday, and then we'll make that kind of that final decision. But that is the plan at this point, instead of using all of it towards a bike and then actually probably tapping into some of our money. So it's a bit bittersweet. We are happy that we're able to pay off our debt faster and earlier than anticipated. This will end up saving us right around $1,800 in interest on the loan. We've already worked out some of the calculations, but language warning. I absolutely fucking hate the circumstances under which this happened, particularly because it is looking to come back as if it is a quality error by the repair shop that did the repairs from the accident. So they're going back through all of their footage, and there's really not much in terms of recourse for that. Australia is not like the US, so we're not ambulance chasers, we're not lawsuit happy. You just kind of, that's why you have insurance. And that's why we had it insured for an agreed upon value, because we knew trying to find a market value from a dealer almost impossible to do because they just don't have them. So that's why I say it is bittersweet, but it will help us get that debt taken care of. Now it's just going to be keeping the mindset of all of that $3,400 total per month, every 4 weeks going to the loan and getting that paid off by, August, maybe September. Then we'll have time after that to get back to our plan, probably split between paying towards the house and then also putting money aside or saving up for we'll probably jump to putting all of that money aside to getting a new, bigger bike for him. And that will be entirely his choice, and I will support it. If he wants to pay half in cash and do half a loan, that's fine. He can do that because I know that we'll have the money to pay that off rather quickly. We will cross that bridge when we get there, but come summertime of 2021, 2022, we'll both have our bikes and we'll be out riding together happily, we hope. So that should be the last of Murphy and his laws, and he can just get stuffed. Murphy is just a total wanker. And I thought we got rid of him in February, but he decided to come back for one last trick. I just want to see the Easter Bunny and some chocolate eggs and have a yummy, delicious dinner. And that is what I am looking forward to doing for the rest of this weekend. So I hope all of you are doing well. I hope that your March went rather smoothly and you haven't had any big surprises. Let me know how your March went or how you are going for April as well. What do you have planned? What do you have on the books? What are you doing a quarterly review of what's working for you, what's not working for you? As always, remember, choose kindness, show gratitude, even when your bike starts on fire, when you've got a fuel tank between your legs, and always keep a positive mindset. You really just have to laugh because I couldn't make this stuff up if I was a fiction writer, and I tried. Everybody have a great weekend. Have a blessed Easter if it is a holiday that you celebrate. I hope you are surrounded by friends, family, and love. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.